threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
Oh yeah, we're back, buddy.
Man, it's been a long time. Since we've done the Casual Preppers.
It has. We had a little.
It's kind of sad.
Man, it
feels good to be back to it.
Oh yeah, it feels like home. You know,
man, it does. It does feel like home.
And today, more relaxed. We've got some pretty weird crap to talk about. Right?
Good timing. We've got presidential debate.
Oh gosh,
government stuff going on.
What a display of intellectual prowess that debate was. Oh my gosh.
I bet you all the countries are quivering in their boots.
They're going, I don't know how we're going to deal with this.
Both of them got us in the corner.
What if they team up? Oh no. Yeah. No, it was anyways.
Pretty shameful.
But today we got something for you.
We do.
Right?
I'm excited about today's because I'm always excited. It's just a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to talk about the government scenarios and exercises that I think it's important for preppers to know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them have some kind of creepy conspiracies behind them, or a lot has come from them. And some of it, man, is messed up in general.
It really is, yeah.
The testing kind of led to some scary crap.
For sure. Yeah, I'm really excited about today, but I'm also excited about BattlBox. It is the monthly subscription box full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, BattlBox sends you the coolest selection of handpicked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here's a sampling of what users received this month. The Heaven's Harvest Seed Kit. Oh, I know. Heaven's Harvest, it sounds like a cult or something.
Grow an angel.
Yeah. Ruck and River camping table. All this badassness starts at just $34.99 per month. They've shipped over 1 million boxes and won best subscription box of 2020. Our listeners get a free knife when you sign up at battlebox.com/casualpreppers. Get your first BattlBox plus a free knife at battlebox.com/casualpreppers.
Listener reviews starts now.
The French-Canadian casual prepper.
Oh,
who knew I was casual prepper? Got a little Asian.
Yeah.
Casual prepper.
French, Asian, Canadian. Yeah, it's all right.
So he says, who knew I was casual prepper all these years?
Oh, oui.
Actually, I define myself as a normal...
kind of gay.
I know.
I got to give him that.
Actually, I define myself as a normal guy who's
multiple.
Yeah.
Multiple guys.
He's got multiple personalities. Yeah. Normal guy who thinks it's prudent to go through life while remaining aware of what could go wrong. It's good. It's good thinking.
Sure.
I always position myself somewhere between and very far from the tin hat survivalist who focuses on a single, immensely improbable, specific cataclysm scenario. And also cataclysmic scenario. And
that was
repetitive.
I had to split it into two, so
I was wondering.
I took the top of the other one.
I was like, isn't that the same thing?
It was too long. I couldn't fit it in one thing. Sorry, I should have mentioned that before.
I'm just reading the prompt.
It's a little Anchorman situation going on here.
Go yourself. Cataclysmic scenario, and also very far from the mindless drone who is clueless about anything but just reads what's written on the screen.
That's right.
But the game or the Kardashians. Your show is very refreshing as it moves away from the kind of guy who, having been a combat medic in special forces for years, judges everyone else based on the level of training he received and decides you will be outmatched at every turn and won't last a week. Thanks for giving this serious topic a funny tone.
Yep.
I am now recommending you podcast
to several select
individuals.
I will now go have my croissant. Goodbye.
Individuals, A. Because it's Canadian.
It's really hard to get the Canadian A in with a French accent.
Yeah.
Do you think they do it, though?
I don't know. I'd get some A for sure.
That's for sure. That was from Patenteur via Apple Podcast. Patenteur. From Canada. Obviously.
This is the last time he's listening.
Yeah, he's like, I am done with these guys. If you guys want to be a part of this portion of the podcast, go to iTunes, go to Facebook, leave us a 5-star review, and make it awesome. See how the battles.
It's a mad, mad world.
I do not
See
enjoy
how
them
rule the
anymore.
battles.
I'm going to go watch my hockey. Cam, did you see the monoliths are coming back?
I did. I'm excited about it.
Dude, I'm
I
so
was like,
pumped.
come on, Vernal. Come on, Vernal.
I would give anything to have one of these pop up.
They're
in town.
nice, too.
Dude, yeah. Just a place to go. Like, they should put a park bench over there.
They
just go
should.
hang out by the monolith. Like, these are the types of things we should be building at a park in town.
agree.
Like a giant, like 100-foot, like just gigantic monolith.
Yeah.
What's it for? I don't know, but so cool.
Yeah, there doesn't have to be any
It doesn't have to be
reason.
for anything. You know what I mean?
Navigation for the aliens.
Exactly. This is where we want them to come. But after another mysterious monolith has popped up, this time in Colorado, this is a really awesome few sentences from this
We're at
reporter. So listen to this. Lori Graves, the owner of Morning Fresh Dairy Farm in Bellevue,
That's Colorado for sure.
Yeah, told local station KDVR she has no idea how the 8-foot tall, 4-foot wide, and 8-inch deep shiny structure
Dang.
ended up on her property. So she has no idea. The next sentence is, I have ideas, but it almost
No idea, but I have
don't want to ruin the mystery around it. Anyways, people are like, hey, man, it's back. This is pretty darn cool. No one knows where these things are coming from. Just last week, which was probably 2 weeks ago, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said a similar shiny reflective structure was spotted by its search and rescue unit near Gas Peak. So this is the second one to pop up in a month.
Wow.
I just really hope that this is
I do too.
aliens or something.
Me too.
Please.
They don't look like crap. Like, they're
No.
nice.
They're like shiny.
They like picked
Yeah.
up mirrors from Goodwill
Yeah.
and put a
the
monolith
whole thing
together.
together. Yeah, it's pretty dang cool. So monoliths back
I did
on,
see that and I was excited about it.
back on the radar,
Keep
baby.
bringing them.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we've maybe mentioned this one before, but
I don't know.
it is the end of the world.
Today?
No.
Oh.
Coming.
Oh, it's
soon.
coming. Okay.
Starting in Cambodia.
Oh, that's where it starts?
Yeah.
Interesting.
A man in Cambodia has warned people that he believes the end of the world is near, resulting in thousands of his fearing supporters traveling to his rural property to stay safe.
Oh.
Politician Kim Viensna
Vecna?
made the
Vecna?
unusual claim on the Facebook page with 370,000 followers that a black hole in his spine was
Oh.
sending him messages of an apocalyptic flood on its way.
He has a black hole in his spine.
Mm-hmm. Black hole spine. Well,
Doesn't a black hole suck up objects around it?
yeah, it's starting to like open up in his spine.
Okay. Really, I just
Don't
would
know
figure-
why he's getting messages through it.
Yeah, and well, wouldn't that just incinerate his entire body?
Yeah, and so
Okay.
everybody's flocking to him for some reason.
Yeah, that seems like
He added that the only place to remain untouched by the biblical style floods would be his farmhouse. So it's like he's getting like these messages through a little black hole in his spine.
Yeah.
Super weird. But
interesting.
it doesn't matter because there's a flood coming.
Oh.
I can't sleep because whenever I sleep, my spinal cord is pulling so hard because the world is breaking down and the water's flowing into the gap.
Okay. What on
And
earth?
he has 370,000 followers.
Dude, we have a hard time hitting 20K on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, well, we don't
it's
have black
believed,
holes.
So there's people from all over in those countries have made a pilgrimage from all over, with some traveling from South Korea to visit. Cambodian,
Can you drive from South Korea to Cambodia?
I don't think so.
I was going to say, it seems like
You got to
it'd be
take a
hard.
boat or something.
Yeah.
The Cambodian embassy in Seoul has since issued a public statement warning migrant workers not to abandon their work and go back home. Authorities have estimated between 15 to 20,000
What?
people arrived at his home, and those that couldn't fit are either in camps outside or renting nearby accommodations. Some people are happy about the new influx of business.
Sure.
You know, they got a bunch of people.
The guy with the food
However,
truck on
there's
the
no
corner.
room, and a lot of people are just defecating around the
Oh, well, yeah.
place. So
Maybe they should defecate in the black hole. Let it take it.
crap on my back.
That's why I brought you here.
It'll consume it. But yeah, I was like, this is the weirdest article I've ever read.
gosh.
I actually think it's a little bit older, but
That's interesting.
don't know what happened to him. Either he's been fully consumed by the black hole or covered in defecation.
Instead of black hole sun S-U-N, it's black hole sun S-O-N.
Yeah.
He's the black hole sun.
Black hole, son. Back hole, Sean.
Holy cow. That's all I got.
Super weird, man.
Yeah, interesting. Well,
well,
that's fun. Well, now that we've gotten past that, let's talk about some weird crap that the government does.
Yeah, for sure. So today's episode, we're gonna dive into some of those government scenarios and exercises that have been that have taken place that have either helped us or brought on a lot of fear.
Yeah, and some of these are like exercises that they've done. Some of these are just like plans that they've made. There's a kind of a mix of stuff.
There is. Some have taken place. Some have been just like scenarios and drawn out and never like actually participated in. And I don't know, weird. A lot of them I hadn't heard of, but I can see why people get pretty concerned about the whole tactic and the whole idea behind them. It's like some are great, get us more prepared, but is there other motives?
Probably.
Yeah, it's the government. So
it
for
is
sure.
the government. It's like, why do they do these things, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but for the most part, we thought it would be interesting.
Yeah, it's just fun
Thought
stuff.
we'd be like, hey, we're preppers. We need to know what the government's doing to prepare, and if it's maybe just, casing the joint, seeing how it can take over.
Yeah, they don't know. So what does the government say about these, right? Like, why are they doing this kind of stuff? They say that they run these scenarios in these exercises to make sure that everyone knows what to do in an emergency, specifically whatever emergency they're talking about here, right? And that's
Which is great.
That
We need to practice.
seems like a good deal, right?
Here, here.
Yeah, whether it's a natural disaster or it's a terrorist attack or something like that, they say these help them improve their emergency plans. They get these different agencies to work together smoothly, and they iron out the rough spots in all this kind of stuff before the thing happens. It's a big dress rehearsal for when the S hits the HTF or whatever, however that works. So, but us as preppers, sometimes we look at things slightly differently. We have a skeptical eye.
For sure.
We are,
really practicing, or you're really trying to learn what you can do.
because we just kind of always like to, slant towards the conspiratorial. Why not? Because it's fun.
Because you're fearmonger.
Yeah, because we got black
trying to
holes
scare
in our
them.
bones. We don't know. But why do some preppers might think that they do these things? Well, maybe it's these drills are used to practice controlling and monitoring the population during a crisis, right? It's not about us. It's about them and about their survival. They have to control us so that we don't, make it bad for them.
Yeah.
Whatever that might be. And also, we've talked about this before. What about martial law? A lot of times, we're going to talk about this in a whole bunch of these different ones, but they seem like they are dress rehearsals for martial law.
Yeah.
It's like they're just practicing when they have to, or when they get to, not have to, when they get to do martial law, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're just gathering data. Data is a big deal these days. Everyone loves it.
Yep.
Everyone wants more
Gotta
of it.
have it.
So this is maybe what they're doing. And maybe it's just a psyops, They want to instill fear. They want to condition the people and accept that
We're still in charge.
We're still in charge. We're always going to be in charge. And when
Yep.
it goes down, we're going to be here and we're going to be in charge.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's kind of why we might think that they're doing it, because it's kind of scary.
It is kind of scary.
But the thing is, they've been doing this for a long
It's
time.
good, but it's also scary.
It is, yeah. They've been doing this. The government has been doing this for a long time. So let's look back kind of over the years. Back into World War II, this was, and Cold War, both of these, there was kind of more of a focus on civil defense. We did an entire episode on civil defense, and how cool was that episode? Loved it.
I know.
If you haven't listened
Speaking
to it.
of, we're for my son's birthday. This is random. Thought I'd throw it in here.
Okay,
Why
do it.
not?
Okay.
For civil defense, and we're buying on eBay those coins and stuff that were used
no
to pay
way.
for food during wartime. I was like,
rad.
pretty cool. Like
buy an
tokens,
extra
red
one for me.
and blue, and it's
Buy an
pretty
extra
cool.
one for me.
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Get me one. So that's what they're doing in World War II and the Cold War. You remember duck and cover? Those were all kind of drills
Useless.
and scenarios. Useless. I mean, somewhat.
But yeah, no.
But that was kind of some of the things they were doing back then. And then post 9/11, things shifted a little bit, right? That's when our focus really went to terrorism.
Yeah.
And that led to the creation of the Department of Homeland Security, and then these large-scale exercises like we're going to talk about later, like top officials, those types of things. And then recent times nowadays, a lot of stuff focuses on cyber threats and pandemics and climate change.
That's a whole different time, right?
It's crazy how these things have gone and, morphed over the years to be a little bit different depending on what the threats are, right? And so These things are interesting, and that's why we decided to talk about them today, because I just think they're kind of fun to talk about. But there is application to preppers.
For sure.
We'll talk about that a little at the end, but I think it's just good to understand what the government is doing.
Yeah.
Because it's information.
Yeah.
Right? It's information.
And it's good. I mean, I want to know that the government's practicing scenarios that could potentially help us.
But we need to watch over what they're doing.
But
we need to understand
also
it.
need to understand, like, is there a different motive for this?
For sure.
Or do we need to be more concerned? Whoa, I just developed throat cancer in the middle of this.
Someone's beaming
Man,
it to
I
you
will say,
through
like,
HARP.
Element is delicious, but the carbonation, which is even better.
It's just even better.
But it comes up.
That's
so
what
I'm sorry.
I want it to be extra carbonated.
Oh, it is.
And they did a good job.
No, they hit it on the right spot. So, the first one we're going to talk about is Rex 84. And man, is this one deep. Like, I was telling Colby, I probably spent just on this part an hour. And I will not give you any information to make any more sense of it.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
Rex 84, I mean, it sounds like some program to exercise. You know,
does,
I'm doing the X84, the Rex 84. What about you?
It's like P90X type
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
So it's short for Readiness Exercise 1984.
The year 1984?
The year 1984.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So Reagan, president at the time. And so this plan was developed by the U.S. federal government to detain large numbers of American citizens deemed as national security threats in case of civil unrest and national emergency, which included the unrest if the U.S., and this had to do with the time and is it Contras that was going on with Central America.
Yeah,
so
Iran,
it had to
Contra
do with
stuff.
that. Yeah, Iran and Contras crisis and stuff like that. So, but they also were looking at if there's unrest in the U.S., if the U.S. were to invade Central America, that those in the United States that were going to be basically against it and causing civil unrest, they were going to detain them all. And so they had to plan for that.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is.
It's like, we're going to do this, and if we're going to have unrest at home, we're going to detain them all.
I think it's very similar to what you saw a little bit in World War II then with the Japanese Americans, right?
Same thing.
It's kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
Wow.
So they kind of had a plan for this. The scenario envisioned state defense and guard forces. I'll mention more about them. They are separate from the National Guard.
Oh, okay.
Rounding up 500,000 undocumented Central American residents and 4,000 American citizens whom the U.S. government general had designated as national security threats.
Wow.
So they had a list of people already.
Oh my gosh.
Which is pretty scary.
That's creepy.
This is where it gets really interesting. These people would be detained at 22 military bases in the concentration camps run by FEMA.
Of course.
So this is where that comes from.
This is kind of
the FEMA
genesis of
has,
Oh my gosh.
which is super interesting. So the origins initiated again by FEMA in collaboration with the Department of Defense and 34 unspecified federal civil departments and agencies designed to deal with potential mass civil unrest and continuity of government operations. So there were a lot of different plans that dealt with military contingency plans, to keep the government going.
Yes.
How we would protect the United States and basically remove any opposition, which is pretty terrifying.
What is it about continuity of government and plans that I just love so much?
I do too.
I don't know.
I do.
I just love it.
I mean, this plan makes it sound like we'll do whatever it takes, which they are going to do whatever it takes.
Yes.
So there are a few parts involved in this. And like I said before, it involves the Iran-Contra affair. That you'll have to look up. I'm not going to go into details about that, but basically, there was a civil war in Nicaragua, and the United States was backing the right-wing portion of it, sending arms and things like that, similar to what's going on in Ukraine. Well, no, it's different because that's a different country.
Right, yeah.
But it was supporting one side, and Congress was like, you're not sending any more weapons down there. And so basically some of the other parts of the government were like sidestepping that in any way they could to get more arms down.
And then I think the president was saying, well, I didn't know about this. And there was a lot of stuff going on,
So
right?
Rex 84 has to deal with that too. So, but I won't go into a lot of detail about that. But the one portion was, so the scenario that they did with this Rex 84 was they were going to send 15,000 of the 182nd Airborne down and this was Rex 84 Night Train, was 15,082nd Airborne to be flown to El Salvador and Nicaragua to combat what the government perceived as subversive activities. And then the other portion of FEMA taking the role of basically obtaining any individuals that are in opposition to this to reduce the chance of civil unrest. That was FEMA's role.
So they would round up and capture those within the United States.
Exactly.
Okay.
And assisting the Department of Defense in doing so. And that was Rex 84 Alpha, that portion. Later, when the mass detention scenario involving FEMA was added at the request of FEMA Director Luis Giuffreda, which he was an interesting dude, and the Reagan advisor Edwin Meese, and personally authorized by Ronald Reagan, the mass detention scenario was codenamed Rex 84 Bravo. Okay. So that's the one where most of the conspiracies come from.
Sure.
So instead of focusing on protecting the country and it was basically going to just detain people to prevent.
It was a preemptive strike,
which is pretty scary
for sure. Yeah,
and they were setting up the camps and they were funding this for a time, and that was their focus. A secret Department of Defense and CIA joint investigation into the potential unconstitutionality of FEMA's role in planning for civil security emergencies, aka martial law, unearthed the Rex 84B plan and exercised data. It emerged FEMA's Director of Civil Security had compiled a list of 12,000 names of political security threats intruding on the FBI's jurisdiction. So this scenario, to kind of protect the people, was turning into like this monster of like, they're making their own list and they were going to take,
and FEMA is not supposed to be doing that
scenario. Yeah, this is FEMA. That's like
Federal Emergency Management is what they're supposed to be doing.
So when they were looking into this, the investigator, CIA agent William Buckley, who was later assassinated, actually destroyed the evidence of Rex 84B, all the plans.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So obviously, a lot of controversies with this one. It's been subject to multiple controversies and conspiracies, primarily stemming from its association with potential martial law and mass detention scenarios. So FEMA camps.
And this is going to be the potential martial law thing is a recurring theme today.
Yeah, so don't get bored with that.
So we'll
one of my favorite
over
episodes in the past of doing. So
that's great, yeah.
But there have been claims that Rex 84 established a plan for a large-scale detention camp where dissidents or political opponents could be held in times of national emergency.
Yep.
Man, which is even more scary today.
Yeah,
of like
for sure.
This, it's like, is there a list? Is there people that are gonna, can be detained by this old plan? Possibly. Suspension of constitutional rights. Critics argue that Rex 84 could be used to suspend constitutional rights and impose authoritarian control. So scary. Targeting dissidents. There are concerns that the plan could be used to target political dissidents, activists, and groups deemed subversive by the government.
Yeah,
and that, I mean,
they've done it
we're
before.
Already looking at that right now, right? Secretive operations, its classified nature and limited public disclosure and destruction, obviously, of part of it. Rex 84 has fueled speculation about hidden agendas, covert operations that could infringe upon individual freedoms. In historical comparisons, some critics draw parallels between Rex 84 and historical examples of authoritarian regimes using emergency measures to consolidate power and suppress dissident, heightening fears of similar abuses of power in the United States. Very similar to Nazi Germany.
For sure, which I don't like to make comparisons to.
And it's this one like kind of freaked me out. That's why I was like reading it again and again. I'm like, did I understand that right? Like
it's a real thing.
The country was really doing this, basically setting up FEMA camps to capture people that were opposed to whatever was going to happen.
You feel like that's 1940s. That's not anything we're going to do today. Happened 40 years later.
80s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the first time with the Japanese.
Exactly.
Right?
We did
internment
it again.
camps. And then we did it, and then we had a plan to do it again in the 80s.
Do you think it's still there?
Who's to say we're not doing it now?
For sure.
I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Rex 84, that's a really good one.
Yeah, that one is. It's deep, and it has a lot of different things around it.
You know what else is really good? Element. Because if you didn't know, electrolyte deficiency or imbalances can cause headaches, cramps, fatigue, and weakness. And as people who want to be prepared and ready for anything, the last thing you need is something that will slow you down when you need to be ready the most. That's why we at Casual Preppers have teamed up with Element. It is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. We think Element is perfect for bug-out bags and EDC kits because it contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. The cool thing is, Casual Preppers listeners can get a free Element sample pack when you make any purchase through our exclusive Casual Preppers link. That is one pack of every flavor. So you can try them all, right? And they also offer no questions asked refunds on all orders. This can be claimed by first-time and returning Element customers. How cool is that? But you got to go through our link. Find it in all of our links on social media and the podcast notes. It's right there. So head to our link, drinkelement.com/casualpreppers, to get your order and your free sample pack with any drink mix purchase. Also, you can get this delicious 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water, which is so
sparkling.
mine is not in the can today. It's in my Element little tumbler here. Cam's got it in the can. So go check it out, drinkelement.com/casualpreppers.
That's so good.
It's delicious.
You know, the Rex 84, there was one thing I forgot to mention in there
Uh-huh.
that was pretty creepy is you see multiple times throughout that how there were different acts like was it Posse Comitatus Act? That one, like different ones about procuring weapons and things like that they found ways to go around. Like the government's like, yeah, we have that in place, but we're gonna
do it a different way.
Within the government, like they're doing these things to sidestep all of these different laws that have been passed.
Shouldn't surprise us.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Let's
we do
talk
whatever
about
we want.
let's talk about Operation Chico.
Sounds cool.
Sounds kind of fun, right? Operation Chico, which took
was
place.
to destroy Mexico, right?
Yeah, so we get to Chico sticks. Remember those?
Yeah.
Chico sticks. It
I
took
still get
place.
those, actually.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Took place on December 6th and 7th, 1958. The U.S. government conducted a classified exercise to test continuity of government plans in the event of a nuclear attack. So, Chico, California was designated as a relocation site for government officials due to its strategic location and its infrastructure.
I didn't know that.
So this is kind of Northern California, but it has railway, it has interstate, it has highway, but it also has the infrastructure needed if the entire government had to move there. It
Is
involves
that still the case?
I don't think so. This
It was like
no.
kind of like Raven Rock, but in a different.
Yeah, but there wasn't a bunker. So it was
Yeah, that's
basically
crazy.
So basically it was on the other side of the United States. So if Washington D.C. was hit, this
They
is
would
where
hurry and go and operate from the
Yeah.
opposite side.
Yeah. It involves setting up temporary command centers and living facilities to simulate the relocation process. So basically, like, we're going to try it out, see how it goes, right? They practiced establishing communication links and maintaining essential services from the relocation site. Also,
What year? Oh, 58.
58, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Also-
Cold War scare.
they did a strategic evacuation of approximately 500 families from Solano County, California to the city of Chico, California, and overnight care for the evacuees. So they
How
went
did
and
they
got
all agree to like?
they got
That would be terrifying.
I think
You're
they
like, what,
just
we're doing
got
what?
they got people to volunteer. I'm not sure how this worked, but I was reading some things about it. Is they basically had, I mean, it wasn't Humvees, it was probably Jeeps and like just huge convoy of them. They stopped halfway, had lunch, and then like a high school band played for them halfway there, and then they went the rest of the way. But it was basically to see, hey, can we house these people? Can we feed them? Can we do everything we need to if we had this many people come? So. Obviously, you can see different situations where that would be good for the government to figure
This
out.
many important people come. right?
Maybe it's important. Maybe we're going to pull them all here for martial law. Maybe we're going to
Oh, yeah,
maybe we're going to
Like a
help
camp,
them.
too.
We don't know, right? So there's a lot of different things they can do. The primary objective was to test and refine plans for maintaining government operations during and after a nuclear attack. That was the mainline
Makes sense.
thing that they were trying to do. Exactly. Developing and practicing the procedures for evacuating and relocating government officials to secure sites. So they actually did the evacuation procedures from where they were to Chico, California. And then they also wanted to ensure effective communication and coordination among all the various government agencies that needed to be communicating during this crisis, right? And then also testing the effectiveness of public safety measures and the ability to protect the civilian population. So there's a lot of different things they
Got
were
to throw
doing.
that in there.
Yeah, let's throw that in there, right? So there were some things that they actually learned and insights they gained from this.
Controlling, excuse me.
I mean,
Protecting.
Protecting. We got to scratch that off of the plans we wrote at the beginning.
Sir, you said controlling.
Yeah. Don't put it there. I'm going to read it if you put it on there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Operation Chico highlighted the importance of having detailed and executable continuity of government plans. Like this, they said this really helped them. They identified gaps in the relocation procedures and they refined protocols for evacuation for those key personnel because of this 2-day exercise. And it underscored the need for that seamless coordination between federal, state, and local agencies when a nationwide attack or something happens nationwide, and then
Nationwide is on your side.
I wanted you to sing it.
Nationwide.
There you go.
Man, like I don't know if it didn't talk a ton about this in that nuclear war scenario, right? I don't think it talked a lot about the plans. It was like chaos.
It was chaos, and we're going to talk about that soon, by the way. Operation Chico demonstrated the importance of public awareness and preparedness in the face of a nuclear threat. So they learned some things from this saying, man, we've got to tell these people what's going to happen and what they should do when this does happen. But it wasn't without controversy, and it's not without conspiracy. It was kind of classified, which is crazy to me because they had 500 families involved. I don't know how they kept it classified.
Yeah.
But they said it was pretty classified, and so that obviously makes people go, "Wait, what was going on?" If it's classified, you know
why
what I mean?
classify? We're just moving people around.
Yeah, they said the public and even many government officials weren't fully informed about the details of the exercise, and then now they're
They
concerned.
don't want a
right?
Russian getting a hold of the
Yeah, you don't
information.
want that. No. It raised questions about the potential for government overreach and impact on civil liberties. Obviously, that's a big deal here. Critics were concerned that plans for relocating government officials and maintaining continuity of government during a nuclear attack could lead to authoritarian measures and the suppression of dissent. And that again, those are kind of across the board things with a lot of these, right? In more conspiracies, this was just a test for martial law.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying, right? This is, if we're going to bring these families here, we're going to keep them in here, and we're going to say, hey, you stay. You don't do anything. You can't have
It's so
guns.
crazy. Like all this is like all anti-American. Like,
Yeah, I know.
It's
I know.
like we're free and a
But
democracy, but we all want to go back to monarchy and control and an authoritarian.
Yeah. They argue that the exercise was obviously a way for
That's what power does, bro.
the government, it does, to practice controlling the population during a crisis. That's the whole thing. They want that control when a crisis hits, and a lot of these things are meant to help them understand the best ways to control the population when something strikes, right?
And if you, we
Yeah.
believe this is best for everybody.
Yes. There are theories that the exercise was part of a larger secret agenda to establish underground bunkers and secure locations for the elite, ensuring their survival while the general population was left vulnerable. So obviously that was a big thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was designed, again, to manipulate public perception, like that PSYOPs type thing,
Yeah.
right? So anyways, that's Operation Chico. It was pretty interesting back in the 50s.
That is really
the height
cool.
of the
That's crazy
civil
they were able
defense.
to actually do it. 500 families. That's a lot, man.
Pretty nuts. Operation Chico.
You all so busy.
I know, for sure.
You're going to move back.
Yeah.
So national response scenario number 1.
Ooh.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool, right?
You're not first, you're last.
Being number 1, it obviously has the same issue of a nuclear attack. So,
Okay.
National response scenario number 1, a scenario focusing on the detonation of a 10 kiloton nuclear device in a major U.S. city,
Okay.
like Chico.
And it could be, yeah.
National response scenario number 1 is part of a series of 15 emergency scenarios developed by the United States Department of Homeland Security. So this is newer.
Okay.
These scenarios help authorities prepare for various crises.
Crisis situations.
I was like crises.
Yeah, that's all right.
Situations that could impact the country. Scenario number 1 specifically focuses on that nuclear attack, like you were explaining
To me, man, this would be so much fun to work on.
I think so too.
I don't know
I
why.
thought the same thing.
Like,
I was like,
love
I
to be
kind of
part
would
of
like to be part of this.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see what they do. I want to see what I would do.
I want
how
to
the government's going to help.
plans.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, a lot of these scenarios, they basically paint the scenario and they have all their, break off into groups and then come back. Like
Get your partner.
The worst stuff
Read
ever.
this paragraph.
But then they come back with like different solutions and different possibilities. So it's pretty cool. That's what this is all about. Preparedness for catastrophic terrorist attacks and large-scale emergencies, coordination between federal, state, and local agencies. So the scenario description. The scenario envisions a terrorist cell creating a nuclear device using highly enriched uranium.
HU.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
It's a huge hill.
So, sum of all fears, basically.
Yeah.
That's what this would be.
Great film.
Yeah, I love that one. It's a great
good
one.
one, yeah.
The terrorists smuggle the nuclear device components into the U.S. The detonation occurs in a major city, resulting in significant loss of life and property. The weapons yield is approximately 10 kilotons,
Wasn't
which
that
is
also
2/3 the size of the Hiroshima
Wasn't that
bomb.
also the plot of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? The hell was it called?
True Lies. Yeah,
True
it
Lies,
was,
right?
yep.
It was the same kind of thing.
Yeah, so
I think.
that was, basically they were just doing a Hollywood movie and then,
I know.
so.
Or a Hollywood movie took this and used it. I don't know.
Basically.
Maybe.
So immediate response, the response timeline begins instantly after detonation.
Boom, now.
Authorities must address the prompt radiation and the gamma dose received from the ground shine, which is radioactive particles deposited on the ground.
Ground shine.
Ground shine. So basically
little
they're
bit
like,
of
okay,
ground
first
shine.
of all, we got to deal with the radiation.
Right.
And then after that, we got to figure out what to do. Context concerns, the scenario reflects the realistic threat of terrorists obtaining nuclear materials and using them in a major city.
To be honest, I can't believe it hasn't happened yet.
I can't believe it hasn't happened yet either.
Really, I can't
The
believe
Sum
it
of All
hasn't.
Fears creeped me out because of that.
Yeah, man.
Perfect title for that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, how has this not happened? How have one of those, crazy Middle Eastern countries not brought it to the United States and just detonated it?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Causing mass confusion of like, who dropped this? Was it Russia? Was it North Korea?
Was it FEMA?
Yeah. So scary stuff.
Yeah.
So they do have a plan in place, which is called National Response Scenario Number 1
Right.
to practice this scenario. Key findings, result of the exercise, improvements in national response capabilities, discussion of practical implications for preppers and the general public. Interesting, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Implications for preppers.
Yeah.
Conspiracies, nuclear mind control is what
What?
they call it.
Okay.
They claim that the government would use the chaos following a nuclear attack to manipulate the public perception, suppress dissent, and exert control over the population. Any way, this is an extreme way to do it, but this would be any way
Why,
to
how
control
would
the
they
public.
ever do that? COVID.
We're hit.
I can't imagine
We
they would
need
ever
you
do
all
it.
to do this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
COVID.
Civil liberties in detention.
Yeah.
Concerns arise about the potential suspension of civil liberties during a crisis. Martial
Exactly.
law and all that starts to take place because they need to control the scenario in every way possible. Transparency and accountability. Some conspiracy theorists focus on the lack of transparency surrounding this whole plan and this whole process.
Yes.
It's like, well, we want the details too. Like, what do we do?
Put them on your Facebook page. We want to read
Exactly. So, in summary, National
Yeah.
Response Scenario Number 1 is a critical planning tool to ensure an effective and coordinated response in the event of a small-scale nuclear attack, terrorist,
Yeah.
mainly on U.S. soil.
it. And so there's a couple of them that are kind of similar to this. We might blow through them pretty quick
Yeah.
because that one,
well, that's a scary one, man.
it's very scary.
and it's a very, probably, more real than I ever thought.
for sure.
Which terrifies me.
Yeah. How about Operation Garden Plot?
Oh, man.
So this wasn't a scenario. This was just a Department of Defense plan, and it was designed to respond to major domestic civil disturbances.
Yeah. Rex 84, it talked about this
Did it?
operation as well because
Yeah.
all of it was kind of happening around the same time.
Makes total sense. And this was developed during a time of significant social upheaval. So its primary goal was to maintain public order during instances of large-scale civil unrest, protests, and riots. So this was in the 60s. And we know what was happening in the 60s. A lot of civil rights, anti-war stuff was happening in Vietnam War, demonstrations.
mess.
Right, yeah, it was a mess. And so the plan was part of a broader strategy to ensure national security and stability during these periods of intense social and political turmoil. Like stuff was like, we got to have a plan for this. But the plan got a little bit extreme when you start to really look into it. The operation called for the deployment of National Guard and, if necessary, federal military forces to assist local law enforcement in controlling and dispersing crowds, protecting property, and restoring order.
Which kind of happened a few times, right?
It
What
did.
was the one on the campus that they'd shot
that
a
might
few
have been
protesters?
before, actually.
Was it?
I'd have to go
But
back
it makes sense of like, how do
Sure.
we control a scenario like this?
Right. And so this basically, it provided a framework for the coordination between military and civilian authorities. But that gets a little murky when you start doing that kind of stuff, right? Because it raised public concerns about the
Where
militarization.
does it start and end? And how far do they go?
It's like, we don't want our domestic law enforcement to be military. We don't want to be Mexico, right? Those are bad things. So critics argued that the use of military forces in civilian settings could lead to excessive force and erosion of civil liberties. Again, much of the similar things that we've talked about before. And there were fears.
Yeah, America becomes America no more.
Exactly.
You're not free anymore.
No. There were fears
That's
that
a scary
the plan could be used to suppress legitimate dissent and political expression. I mean, we should be able to freely gather and protest. That's part of our civil liberties. Unless we say no.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so that's where it gets a little crazy, and you're like, ooh, brother, ooh, this is not good. You know what I mean?
Brother, ooh.
The plan included provisions for extensive surveillance and intelligence gathering on potential subversive groups. Really, really similar to what we've been talking about before.
I think that like Rex 84 came after this. It was kind of using these ideas.
The crazy thing is Operation Garden Plot allowed for the use of lethal force if deemed necessary to restore order.
If you kill the front line of them,
you get
they'll all back off.
Get the front line, the rest of them are going to go home. All right. The potential for military personnel to use deadly force against civilians was a major point of contention and fear among civil rights advocates.
For sure.
I'm there with you, buddy. I don't want that either. Another crazy piece of this is the plan could be activated by military authorities without prior approval from civilian government leaders.
Holy crap.
So basically,
the military just becomes
Sergeant Serious could say, hey, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't have to talk to the governor. I don't have to talk to anybody else. I'm just going to go on and do it, right? So you're right. There were several notable instances where aspects of Operation Garden Plot were activated, such as during the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago and then the LA riots of 1992. But parts of this were actually used.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was put into action for a time. Wow.
It was.
Well, that's scary.
It is, man.
You know what else is scary? Not having self-reliant medical care.
Terrifying.
Guess what? There's a book out there that you can get today. Put in your library, and you basically can take care of all of your medical problems.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. It's called the Prepper's Medical Handbook. And it is written by an MD, and his name's William W. 4G. I need another rhyme to
Not
go with
5G.
That. No. I don't change that. But this book provides the basis of prevention and identification of long-term management of survivable medical conditions that you're going to face if you're on your own and urgent care is closed.
Yep.
You got to learn this stuff.
You do.
And the book makes it easy. Like it's simple to read. It has basic medical terms, nothing deep. There's no brain surgery in the book. It's all the stuff that you're going to face and need to be able to handle on your own. I would say this book is important even today, before any crisis.
I agree.
Like, learn how to take care of yourself
Yeah.
without going to urgent care every 5 seconds. And you can pick this book up at Amazon or go to preppersmedicalhandbook.com and get you a copy. It's very worth it. It's great for your medical library, and you definitely need to know your own medicine.
You do. And we usually try and tag this on all of our YouTube videos, so you can actually click the link right there,
sweet, yeah.
and it'll take you to get it.
Yeah, get it. It's good. It's a good one.
Why not?
So let's talk about national level exercise. NLE. It's in
And actually, NLE is a nonlinear editor. I use those every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Do you know that it's also tied to the national level exercise?
now I do.
You've been doing this.
Yeah.
So the description of this is, it's the nation's cornerstone exercise for validating progress towards promoting and sustaining a prepared nation to respond to catastrophic events.
And this one really ties into another one I've got later, so I'm going to go through that one pretty quick.
And this is, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a lot of controversy around this one. This one I think is a good, this should be happening.
This, absolutely.
The national level exercise is an opportunity for all levels of the government, the private sector, non-governmental organizations, and community groups to test operational capabilities, evaluate policies and plans. This is basically a prepper plan here.
Yeah.
Familiarize personnel with roles and responsibilities, foster meaningful interaction and communication across the nation, and it basically creates different scenarios each year for the NLE to kind of practice, ranging from natural disasters to man-made attacks, and address specific types of threats and hazards that pose the risks greatest to our nation.
Mm-hmm.
So, the 4-year national exercise program cycle includes 2 operations-based national-level exercises. So, for example, NLE 2024 scenario is the impact of a large hurricane on Hawaiian islands of Oahu.
They should have done like fires.
Seriously. It's like, let's talk about an island.
Yeah.
That's not, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the hurricane's winds, overland flooding, the storm surge impact critical infrastructure. So it doesn't focus on just like a widespread national problem. It's a problem that the whole nation can come together and help and fix.
Yeah.
So the scenario includes limited port capabilities resulting from hurricane impacts.
Mm-hmm.
And in Guam, opportunistic cyber attacks result in critical infrastructure going offline or being disrupted, further complicating supply chain issues caused by the damage to the Oahu and Honolulu harbor. So they throw in all these different scenarios and different problems and obstacles that they may face, and all these groups come together and devise a plan, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a really
These ones I think are great.
There's really not much controversy behind this because it's like there can be.
There can be.
Always can be.
Always can be, but they're great.
Yeah.
I think they should continue to do this for sure.
So that's what the NLE is.
Okay.
Not what Kobe said.
Nope. Have you heard of Event 201,
I haven't.
Cameron? Oh man, this one.
It sounds like a space book.
This is
like
pretty interesting. So this
Event
actually
Horizon or something.
This actually isn't a government-led one. Event 201,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a high-level pandemic exercise conducted by the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security in partnership with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
So the government wasn't behind this, huh?
No. Held in October of 2019, this exercise aimed to simulate a global pandemic scenario, helping us understand the challenges and preparedness needed to respond effectively to a severe pandemic.
In the nick of time. But did it do anything?
Look, the exercise this was basically a tabletop
Now
exercise.
I do remember.
Yeah. This is a tabletop exercise. I don't know if you've seen those, but they all kind of get together in a room, and it's almost like playing D&D, but with but they're trying to simulate different scenarios. The exercise consisted of pre-recorded news broadcasts, live staff briefings, and moderated discussions on specific topics. They were carefully designed in a compelling narrative that educated the participants and the audience. So they had a whole scenario laid out. There was pre-recorded media briefings, and then, it was like you were
2019.
2019.
So crazy.
So what were their goals, Cam? It was to show how global...
How many masks you can wear.
Global business, how many masks you can sell. Global businesses and governments need to work together during a severe pandemic. That's
how
what
many
they wanted
masks
to
and
show.
vaccines you can make.
Mm-hmm. It also aimed to identify and point out the gaps and weaknesses in our current pandemic preparedness and response strategies.
But for sure, because this is like the scariest scenario, a real pandemic scenario.
They wanted to improve communication and information sharing between governments, international organizations, and private sector. So there was like a 3-pronged approach there. And they said it's really important during a pandemic for a collaboration between public and private sectors. They wanted to collaborate. So obviously this is a little bit awkward. The timing.
Yeah.
Event 201 took place just months before the COVID-19 pandemic led to a lot of speculation here, obviously.
Should have gave it a little more time.
I know. It's like, really? Like, we're going to release this virus in a couple of months. Let's see what happens here.
Guess what? Forgot to do the planning.
Yeah.
Let's do it real quick because it's going to happen.
So some people obviously saw the timing as suspicious. They began to wonder if there was a
really
connection
weird.
or foreknowledge about the impending outbreak.
Yeah.
So the conspiracy theorists, they were like, look, Event 201 was part of a larger plan to intentionally release a virus and create a global pandemic. This exercise was just a rehearsal for them. And so that they have this because they had this inside knowledge, and they're like, maybe we got to figure out, can we stop this thing once we release it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Others believe the exercise is a way to lay the groundwork for increased global control and surveillance. Always, a good thing to look at. The argument here is that the pandemic measures put in place during COVID-19, such as lockdowns and digital tracking, were pre-planned strategies to exert control over populations. There were also claims that the pandemic was orchestrated to benefit pharmaceutical companies and other stakeholders involved in the vaccine industry. Our good friend Bill and his wife Melinda, their foundation supports global health initiatives, including vaccination programs. It's been a particular focus of this theory, obviously.
Yeah.
So this Event 201 contributed to the broader public mistrust of health authorities and government actions during the COVID-19 pandemic, and has helped to manifest a bit of resistance to public health measures, vaccine hesitancy, and widespread dissemination of misinformation.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's like,
I don't know what they're talking
I
about.
don't even think that's happening.
Anyways, Event 201.
That one's interesting. The timing for sure. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
wait,
definitely-
whoa. You
Yep.
couldn't have made
I
it
know.
even any closer, which is just really weird.
Yeah.
This one has the coolest name, Dark Winter.
We did a full episode on this. Do you remember?
I do
long,
remember
long
talking
time
about
ago.
it. So, yeah, and I can go through this in pretty quick because it's fairly similar to what you were talking about, but it had to do with smallpox.
Okay, yeah.
So, Dark Winter exercise was a fictional scenario conducted in June 2001 to simulate a biological attack of smallpox on the U.S. citizens. So, basically, biological warfare.
Yeah.
And what we would do, the operation designed by health professionals from Johns Hopkins Center for Civilian Biodefense Strategies, now known as the Center of Health Security, and the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Intended to gauge the government's response to a mock smallpox outbreak linked to an unknown terrorist entity.
Say that 10 times fast.
So,
Mock
yeah.
smallpox.
So back in the day, they used to, catapult dead bodies to spread the plague. This would be similar. They just release pop bottle full of smallpox and let it go crazy.
That's right.
Exercise took place at Andrews Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. Again, this is a scenario. This isn't real life. They didn't really do this. Or did they? Scenario, the fictional scenario unfolded during 3 successive National Security Council meetings over a period of 14 days. Former senior government officials played the roles of NSC members responding to the evolving epidemic. Media representatives observed the mock NSC meetings and portrayed journalists during the press conference, which is interesting. They kind of included all of what would actually happen and spread of information. Dark Winter aimed to examine the national security, intergovernmental, and information challenges posed by a biological attack on an American homeland, which is, I don't want a biological
I don't
attack.
want smallpox, that's for sure.
Smallpox outbreak. As tensions rose in Taiwan Straits and the crisis developed in Southwest Asia, smallpox outbreak was confirmed in Oklahoma City. This is a scenario. Over the course of 13 days, the disease spread to 25 states and 15 other countries. Focuses: public health response, inadequate supply of smallpox vaccine, roles and missions of federal and state governments, civil liberties related to quarantine and isolation. People love that stuff.
Yeah.
The role of the Department of Defense and potential military responses to an anonymous attack.
Oh, man.
In summary, Dark Winter served as a teaching and training resource for public health and government officials, emphasizing the need for preparedness and effective response in the face of bioterrorist-induced national security crisis.
To me, this one seems like a well-meaning exercise that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Right?
Yeah. So, interesting is some conspiracies that popped up during the 2020 presidential debate. The term was used after Biden and President Donald Trump were asked what actions their administrations would take to combat the coronavirus pandemic. The former vice president argued that Trump had no clear plan and that America was headed for a dark winter as a result. People lost their minds.
They loved that, didn't
They're
they?
like, who are you bringing up dark winter?
Yeah.
How do you know about that? And then they, shared the information I just told you, that it was a smallpox outbreak scenario and how the United States would counter it. So it was almost like some of that information slipped out because he was vice president.
Right.
And the information of releasing an agent into the public, you know, Biden knew about it. That's what the whole conspiracy was.
Yep.
In the debate, Biden said it's going to be a dark winter. said Susan Humphreys, a conspiratorial author. Have you looked up Dark Winter? I think it slipped out unintentionally. So, Operation Dark Winter is also the basis of the storyline in Tom Clancy's The Division, which is
great
amazing
game, man. Great game.
One other I was just going to briefly go over, Proud Prophet, was a war game conducted by the United States in June 1983 during the Cold War. Designed by Thomas Schelling, this simulation aimed to test various proposals and strategies in response to the Soviet Union's military buildup. So basically, Proud Prophet, the primary goal of Proud Prophet was to explore different strategies for dealing with Soviet Union's large nuclear programs. So basically, they went over, did a scenario of what happened if the Soviet Union was to strike the United States with a nuclear warhead. So the simulation tested the response of the National Command Authority, which is hugely important in terms of like what response and quickly responding to protect and possibly prevent more strikes.
6 minutes.
Oh my gosh. So the decision-making simulation tested the response of the, they said that. Outcomes, Proud Prophet highlighted the need to resolve global issues during times of war or potential war. The government file for Proud Prophet was not fully declassified until December 20th, 2012, emphasizing the importance of considering extreme scenarios and planning appropriate response to opposing nuclear strikes. It was the largest, most realistic war games that was ever done in U.S. history.
Wow, that's cool.
That they had played out the scenario of Cold War type of thing. You know, they're in a strike. What do we do in response? How do we... pretty scary stuff.
Cool name, too. Proud Prophet.
Proud Prophet.
Yeah. How about this name's not that cool. Top Off. This looks like what I do at the gas station driving home. Top Off, or Top Officials, it's a series of exercises designed to prepare senior-level government officials for possible terrorist attacks involving weapons of mass destruction. So this one's very similar to some of these other ones, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but these exercises began in 2000.
It's crazy how many exercises there are. They're all a little bit different.
Yeah, so this one's for the top officials, right? To them to figure it out. Began in 2000, and it had been conducted approximately every 2 years, with each iteration focusing on different types of catastrophic scenarios. Each exercise features a realistic scenario, such as a biological attack on a major city or a chemical explosion at a public event. Those types of things, and they'll involve like field drills with emergency responders and hospitals and law enforcement practicing evacuation, decontamination, medical treatment, all this kind of in real time as they do this. They always include simulated media reports. And this is actually a good chance for a lot of them to incorporate the latest technology in these things, like surveillance technology, communication technology, data analysis technology. So they use these for several reasons to test out this new technology, but also to just go over these plans, right, for that type of stuff. Again, conspiracy theories, these could be false flag operations, basically where the government stages or allows attacks to justify military actions. PSYOPs,
for sure.
Agenda for global governance and control. So that is Top Off, very similar to some of these other ones.
Yeah. I'm sure it's to prepare senior level of government officials. Prepare, probably just protect.
Protect, exactly.
Get them into safety first.
Yep.
Another one, Operation Vigilant Guardian.
Yeah, and this one actually very similar to another one I had later too.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
very, very similar.
Military exercise conducted by the basically NORAD and the U.S. Northcom. It simulated a scenario where hijacked planes were used as weapons to attack targets in the United States. What year did this happen? 2000. So, again, the government needs to spread these out a little bit.
I know. This is getting obvious here.
Like, within a few months if it happens after a training exercise. But specifically Operation Vigilant Guardian. So it's crazy to me. I didn't even know that this was a scenario that they had played out and thought about.
Yeah.
But
it was.
It makes it even more suspicious, you know? After the September 11th attacks, Operation Vigilant Guardian gained attention due to its simulated scenarios resembling the actual events of the tragic day. It seemed awfully similar, you know?
Yep, it really
does. And
does.
I thought that was kind of creepy. The government actually had done a simulation trial, basically explored the possibility of hijacked planes crashing into buildings.
It's gonna
and
get
then
crazy.
it happened a year later.
When I get to mine, it'll get even crazier. You just wait.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Operation Gotham Shield right now. Might
Love
be the
that
best
game.
name.
Love that
Might
game.
be the best name.
That is pretty cool.
During Operation Gotham Shield, which took place April 2017, FEMA led a large-scale exercise simulating a nuclear explosion in the New York City, New Jersey area.
Oh, it's like specific
to
Gotham
this.
City.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How cool is that name?
That is cool.
It involved a hypothetical ground burst of a nuclear device at the New Jersey side entrance to the Lincoln Tunnel, resulting in hundreds of thousands.
From the New York.
Yeah.
From
Right, just New
You're
York
the
sent
ones
it
that
over there.
launched it.
Hundreds of thousands of killed and injured persons and 4.5 million refugees from the initial blast and subsequent fallout. It aimed to test the response and capabilities, obviously. They practiced evacuation procedures, medical response, and communication strategies in the aftermath of a hypothetical 10-kiloton blast.
so it's similar to the
Very similar.
what was the other one?
Yeah, so they had some of the same stuff: field hospitals, search and rescue operations, information stuff going on. The exercise included simulations of radioactive fallout as well, requiring the responders to practice decontamination procedures as they did this. Again, they used cutting edge technology. They used drones for surveillance, and this was, this is in 2017. 2017.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't hear about it.
I didn't either. Search and rescue operations in collapsed buildings and other hazardous environments. So anyways, it was really cool, the stuff they were doing. But again, conspiracy theorists love to look at this stuff. Like, this was a rehearsal for a false flag thing. This was martial law practice. This was designed to instill fear about nuclear threats, because they want to keep us scared of these nuclear threats, because they can keep adding on different restrictions to us or whatever. So anyways, that is Operation Gotham Shield.
That is a cool name.
That is a very cool name, huh?
I didn't remember. I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah.
This one, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about like modern day power grid attack type stuff.
Okay.
So GridEx, it gets the mold and mildew out of your bathroom tile.
It sounds like. Yeah.
GridEx, Grid Security Exercise, is a biennial event conducted by the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. NERC. You freaking NERC. Typically involving participants from across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The exercise is designed to simulate, I wanted to say stimulate,
maybe
simulate coordinated response to various simulated cyber and physical security threats that could potentially impact the reliability of the electric grid.
I'm glad this is actually happening, to be honest with you.
Because our grid is ancient.
Oh, man.
The thing is going to be like a few batteries tied together.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to take the whole system out.
It's not good.
So here are some key details about it. Purpose: it aims to assess the improvement for preparedness in response and recovery capabilities of utilities, government agencies, and other stakeholders in the face of simulated security incidents affecting the electric grid. And it could be, mostly it's focused on cyber attacks, but EMP type stuff too. But I think there's one more specific to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Participants were Homeland Security, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and region reliability organizations. So basically malware the GridEx exercise typically involves scenarios that simulate cyber attacks. Sabotage, physical infrastructure damage was also included in this. And then you basically lose the power grid. Now what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Objectives: assessing the effectiveness of existing security protocols and responses. Has everybody got their Bitdefender and
Surfshark
up to date? Yeah, Surfshark. Enhancing collaboration and communication between utilities and government agencies, which would be super difficult when the grid's down.
Yeah, good luck.
Identifying areas of improvement in cybersecurity defenses and physical security measures, which is an ongoing battle. Evaluating the resilience and recovery capabilities of the electrical grid infrastructure.
Which I'm sure is not great.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
China's got to support us with those transformers, man.
Yeah.
So, lessons learned: following each GridEx exercise, participants conduct after-action reviews to analyze performance, document lessons learned, and develop action plans for addressing identified weaknesses or deficiencies. So, anyways, it happens twice a year. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's actually important, and I feel, again, it's one of those, like, are they expecting something to happen, or are they going to cause something as some of the conspiracies? But overall, I think that they need to be doing
That
this.
seems like a very
cyber attack, grid down. In many scenarios, we need to figure out how to communicate and get it back online.
I totally agree. So this one's
Nobody
called...
likes to have lights out and no internet. Nobody likes it.
Nobody does. Global Guardian. This is the one I was talking about that was very similar to the one you talked about before. It's an annual training exercise conducted by the U.S. Strategic Command. It involves simulated nuclear war scenarios, but some other stuff as well. The goal is to test nuclear command and control. Simulate realistic scenarios, enhance coordination, and identify weaknesses. But
there's so much to that. I always thought it's like you knock out Washington, D.C., you can't launch any like Counter-Strike. But that's not.
It's not true at all, is it? But this is really crazy. When we talk about 9/11, Global Guardian was actually happening as the 9/11 attacks were happening.
Did it really?
It was happening during the attacks. They were doing this. So it was underway during the 9/11 attacks in 2001, which led to significant speculation and conspiracy theories. They actually have tape recordings from that day from NORAD, their Northeast headquarters, from the drill. And the guy was like, when they told me there was a hijack, my first reaction was somebody started the exercise early. Like it was happening that day. And so there was like confusion going on.
Yeah, it's like, is this part of the simulation?
There were several times where people were like, is this, you're saying this is actually happening. It's not the drill that we're scheduled to have.
Freaking blow your mind.
Right?
But it wasn't set up that way.
Yeah. How, I don't know. And that's the whole thing.
More confusion and not stop what was happening.
The theory suggests that the exercise provided cover for the real attacks.
Yeah.
Like that was cover, right? It was a coordinated effort, and this was a way that they can make it happen. How crazy is that, though? It was happening the day of. Oh, my God.
And even if it wasn't the intention of the group, but if there was a way for information to, like, control the country, like, practicing something from outside sources, that's even scarier.
It definitely is.
It's like, you need to do your practice right now, and they controlled that part of it would be even more scary.
Yeah, dude.
They would never let us know that.
No. Another theory says that the exercise contributed to a temporary stand down of U.S. defenses, making it easier for the 9/11 attacks to succeed, right? Because there were all these military resources were focused on this drill that they were doing and not what was happening. So, man, that's crazy. And then obviously, they had insider knowledge, obviously. There was a distraction and confusion through this whole thing, but
as if all of them were involved in it.
Yeah. So Global Guardian was actually going on as the 9/11 attacks happened.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
And that is super interesting.
Yeah.
So this one kind of got a lot of people up in arms.
Okay.
Uncomfortable. Jade Helm 15. I actually didn't know about this one.
I think I got the Jade Helm in Diablo.
Did you trade it?
I traded it up.
Yeah. Jade, combined your game in that.
Yeah,
Jade Helm 15 was a large-scale military exercise conducted in the U.S. Or by the United States Special Operations Command that took place from July 15th to September 15th in 2015. Primary objective was to improve the readiness and interoperability of the U.S. Special Forces with other military units and government agencies. Participants, Jade Helm 15 involved various military units, primarily from USSOCOM, USSOCOM? I don't know how you say that.
No.
Including Army Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Air Force Special Operations Command, and Marine Corps Special Operations Command. It also included cooperation with other military branches and interagency partners. This involved several states, Utah, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida.
Oh, wow.
The scenario included simulated missions such as infiltration, reconnaissance, unconventional warfare tactics, and cooperation with civilian populations and local authorities. This was happening all of these different groups together were doing this drill. And it, like in Texas, they lost their minds.
Oh, really?
Jade Helm 15 generated considerable controversy and conspiracy theories, particularly among some civilians populations in the states where the exercise was conducted.
Sure.
Concerns ranged from fears of martial law that they were practicing, kind of setting up for that, government surveillance, seizure of private property, theories about exercise being a precursor to military takeover and position and authoritarian rule. Even Governor Abbott ordered Texas State Guard to monitor the exercise due to fear.
Man.
And and the government was like, well, wait a minute, you can't watch what we're doing. You know, they got all pissed off.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like congressmen were like, well, what are you doing? Like sending out a state guard to watch over what the government is doing. So it got kind of creepy.
It's like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Where they're all pointing at each other.
Exactly. That's exactly what was
Right.
happening. Abbott wrote a letter to the state guard asking them to keep an eye on the operation so Texans know their safety, constitutional rights, private property rights, and civil liberties will not be infringed.
Wow, that's crazy.
Fear to Jade Helm 15 exercise was said to be from Russian bots, and that the American alt-right media convinced many Texans that Jade Helm was an Obama plan to round up political dissidents.
Faux show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was kind of a just an exercise of multiple different parts of the military to work together, but created a huge amount of controversy of like, is the government going to take over and is it going to be the military? You
It's
know,
weird. I
martial
haven't
law?
heard of some of these, man.
I hadn't heard of this one
I guess
either.
I don't pay that much attention.
That was like in the
2015?
early parts of our podcast.
Yeah, it was. Crazy, man. Capstone event exercise, and these are some FEMA simulated large-scale disaster exercises. I think these ones are very good. These are good things that they're happening. They do these large-scale disasters every couple of years, and they have different disasters that they simulate. And obviously, this is great because it provides hands-on training for all these people, emergency responders, to understand how to deal with these different disasters.
You have to have scenarios.
You have to, right?
Like you have to do it.
And so a couple of them that I just pulled up real quick, in 2014, they did a major earthquake in the central United States along the New Madrid seismic zone. So
Good one.
that's a really good one, right?
Yeah.
So they tested response and recovery efforts for obviously a catastrophic earthquake, which was like search and rescue, medical response, coordination between all the different agencies, state, federal, local. So that was a big one. And then the next one was another earthquake in 2016. It was called Cascadia Rising. They have cool names for these things. It was a massive earthquake and tsunami along the Cascadia subduction zone in the Pacific Northwest. So this involved over 20,000 participants. 20,000 people were in this thing from various levels of government and private sector partners and community organizations. So they had mass casualty response, infrastructure assessment, communication strategies, and public safety operations. So these are
good idea,
humongous.
man. That Pacific Coast is a ticking time
It
bomb.
really is, yeah. But it's actually, these are really great things I think that FEMA does every few years. I like those Capstone
While
events.
it's building its concentration
While it's
camps.
building, yeah, it's got to raise the money for it.
It's got to distract from.
Yeah.
We got to use some of our.
That's when they bring in all the chain link and razor wire. When we're all
That's
looking
when we're all
over
like
there.
looking at the coast and
Exactly.
like, how are we going to do this?
Exactly.
And they're building the camps. Yeah, for sure. Exercise Winter Shield, a classified military exercise that simulates cyber warfare scenarios. Interestingly enough, it's used primarily by the armed forces of Ukraine, typically during the winter months. These exercises are aimed at enhancing the combat readiness and operational capabilities of the Ukrainian military forces, particularly in preparation for potential conflicts or emergencies during the winter season.
It's like a specific winter one, huh?
I thought
That's
it was
weird.
kind of weird that they did. And with the Ukrainian military, it's like, not with the, anyway.
Yeah.
Participants exercise Winter Shield involves various branches of the Ukrainian armed forces, including Army, Navy, Air Force, and Special Operation Forces. It also may incorporate elements of other security forces such as National Guard and Border Guard security services. Scenario for exercise Winter Shield typically simulate combat situations and emergency response operations that could occur in winter landscapes. This is kind of a very unique one.
That is.
Training exercises during Exercise Winter Shield may include live fire exercises, tactical drills, convoy operations, medical evacuations exercises, communication drills, cold weather survival training, and interoperability exercises with allied or partner nations. This isn't completely different from, this one's specific to Ukraine in winter, but it's no different than like the Japan and South Korean exercises that just recently ended that piss off North Korea.
For sure, yeah.
And so these are all taking place, and a lot, and not only the United States being like worried about the conspiracies around this, but they're like, are they preparing for something
Yeah.
that they know that they're going to
For
either
sure.
start
Yeah.
or that we're, going to be attacked by something?
Very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that they did that much.
I didn't either.
Like specifically with, so pretty cool.
But it makes
so. I mean,
sense.
there's good things that are happening.
Yeah.
But we don't know always what the motive is, and if
don't.
there's something that made them scared and starting to do it.
This one I love. I love this one. Exercise Red Flag. Kind of a dumb name, but it's really cool. Exercise Red Flag is an advanced aerial combat training exercise hosted at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. It is one of the most comprehensive and realistic air combat exercises conducted by the United States Air Force, and it involves participants from all the branches of the U.S. military as well as allied nations. This is really cool. It includes complex missions such as dogfights, ground attack sorties,
awesome.
and electronic warfare operations.
So when I went to the air show there
Mm-hmm.
because my brother-in-law was he was part of the Thunderbirds,
Mm-hmm.
but they did do a scenario while I was there.
Cool.
They had 2 jets that are painted like Russian camo.
Oh man.
And they said like they
look
wanted
like
to
MiGs?
show how fast the F-22 could be up and ready to strike, which was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was like, I'm sure they do it all the time. So they kind of showed it to the public at that point.
It's really weird to me that still seeing a MiG like strikes fear in my heart.
Me too.
Like just it's almost entirely from Top Gun. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
And they use them all the time.
yeah, it's so crazy.
We actually had one fly in not too long ago to Vernal Airport.
Oh, really?
And like
Wow.
I happened to be at the just showing my son. I happened to be there. I just happened to be
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
But he was filming like planes kind of landing. He wanted to see, and one of them flew in and landed,
For
which
real?
was super weird.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, dude, that's crazy.
It was all painted in like green camo too. Super,
that is
super
like
weird.
so yeah.
Very Russian. I'm guessing it was probably doing like a show in either Grand
Yeah.
Junction and just
Which
happened
makes
to
sense. Totally makes sense. Anyways, pilots must navigate through simulated air defenses, coordinate with ground forces, and execute precision strikes. So it sounds almost like Top Gun school or something.
Sweet
you know what
stuff,
I mean?
man.
The use of advanced technology, including mock adversary aircraft and sophisticated radar systems, creates a challenging environment. But here's where it gets kind of crazy. One of the main sources of controversy surrounding Exercise Red Flag is the use of experimental technologies. The exercise often involves testing cutting-edge aircraft, weapons, and electronic warfare systems, leading to speculation about the nature and capability of these technologies. It's obviously very secret and all this kind of stuff too, but
But it has to be.
But it has to be. Yeah, exactly. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that Exercise Red Flag is used to test advanced and possibly undisclosed weaponry, which I would assume that they're testing it at some point.
Yeah.
Why not use it? Why not do it here, right?
Yeah.
But another prominent theory is that the exercise involves testing technology derived from unidentified flying objects or alien sources.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Because Nellis is not that far
It's
from
not.
Area 51.
I've heard that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I like that.
I do too. So they're saying that this thing is like a chance for them to use this backward engineered technology they're getting from UFOs or something like that. That's all, man.
that,
Look at
Nick?
that.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't that
so
crazy?
cool.
I was all, what the?
That is, you'll have to show that on social media or
Yeah,
something. How cool
I should.
that
I
is.
should post that.
Yeah.
That we were under attack for a moment.
Yeah. Some people think it's preparation for space warfare. Even the theories that Red Flag includes elements of preparation for space warfare involving the testing of anti-satellite weapons
Oh, yeah.
and other space-related military technologies. Also, it serves as a cover for various black projects or classified military projects that are not disclosed to the public with advanced aircraft, weapon systems, and other technologies. So this one's really cool.
That's
to me.
that's super
How
awesome.
cool is that? Yeah.
Well, even like when they had SEAL Team 6, like that helicopter crashed and they like covered up and went and destroyed it.
Yes.
It's like, I think
Why?
there's a lot of stuff we don't know
Oh.
that the military uses. I'm hoping.
I know
Honestly,
there is.
I
know that's not even a question in my mind.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then I don't know what they're doing. They better have the best of the best.
They have to, right?
You know, and then 10 years later, we get it as civilians.
Yeah.
You know, or however that works. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really. Anyways, that is a whole bunch of different government scenarios
It
and
is.
exercises.
And so some of them you can see is like, that makes a lot of sense. And other ones you're like, well, what? Oh, like, I see why they did it, but the timing was really
Kind of
odd.
odd, yeah.
And what's the real motive behind it? It's like,
yeah, for sure. And what are the lessons that we can take from these as preppers? I don't know. I mean, I don't know specifically, but be ready for anything because the
to me,
government's
it's like
doing
if the government's training. Yeah, it's exactly what I took from it.
Right?
It's like we should be, practicing scenarios.
We definitely should.
Don't expect the government to basically be doing all this for us.
No,
it's to continue itself.
Yes, it's for themselves, most likely. All of these exercises show how important it is to coordinate and communicate.
Yeah.
That should be a key lesson for us as preppers, that we have to have a really good communication plan.
Which is a hard plan to create.
It's not easy.
And
that's why the government is doing these exercises, because they understand that communication is key in these scenarios and how hard it is to coordinate, how hard it is to communicate when stuff goes haywire.
Yeah.
And so just shows us how important it is for us. Also, practice makes perfect, you guys.
Yeah.
You have to practice these things if you want to be good when it goes down. Right? So make sure you practice
and the speed of doing it. Like in a nuclear scenario, it's like 6 minutes.
You got 6 minutes. Yeah, it's insane, right?
Yeah.
Also, staying updated on new threats. We see how it has evolved over the years for the government to do these things. You need to evolve too with new threats and new things that are coming out. You have to understand them, and you have to have ways to mitigate them. And we always say the basics are the basics, but there's things you have to understand. Cyber attacks you didn't care about 30 years ago.
Exactly.
But you have to now, right? Yeah. Those are things you got to think about. You have to manage your resources well. And, to be honest, I just feel like this stuff is just interesting. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about. It's fun to understand.
Maybe the government doesn't control these things, but maybe they do. Maybe pay attention to what training exercise and focus your preps a little more on that.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, today's podcast is brought to you by TacPac, the only tactical subscription box with useful professional grade stuff inside. Use our code Casual Preppers and get a free $70 machine-made part from Next Level Armament. We actually have the latest TacPac. Do we want to just show it right now since we're doing the TacPac reader, Cameron?
Here it is.
All right, yeah, let's get that sucker. It has the Cam Trax hatchet. It's got Cam's name in it.
Freaking cool.
Yeah.
The gun. It's a charged device. It's got a hatchet. It's got a saw blade.
It's got everything.
It does look like it has about everything. But it is. It's a handle, and you flip the saw blade out, and then you've got a hatchet on the other side. That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, multi-use. The ultimate boonie hat. Yeah. Boonies are back, baby.
Look at that boonie.
Yeah, for sure.
Boonie.
It's pretty good. The Raven Concealment Mag Carrier. The Thrill Pistol Grip. And then there's a sticker in there, too, I think.
It is a thrill.
Mm-hmm. Then I think there's a sticker in there. The Earthworm Operator. Should be, anyways.
Earthworm Jim?
Yeah, it's pretty rad, huh? Use our code Casual Preppers for that free $70 machine-made part.
It's time for the quick and dirty medical tip.
It isn't time.
It isn't. We're gonna pass that up.
We've gone long enough.
Yeah, we have gone long.
Stay healthy out there.
We also get the Preppers Medical Handbook. We also have the latest BattlBox.
You got the card? Yeah.
I got the card right here.
All
Mission 112. Okay. We have the Uddy Gear Organizer.
Hear that bag? Hear that sack?
That's your sack.
Yeah.
Then we have the Fiber Light Fire Kit. These are great. I have a couple of these, actually, these fire kits. Those suckers will start a fire. If you need a fire, it'll get them going.
And you got a can that you can use for your chaw after you're done burning stuff.
Yeah, or your jerky stuff. Chaw or your jerky stuff. The Camillus Glide Sharpener.
Shredded jerky.
Shredded jerky.
That's when you feel like a man.
I know.
As a kid, you feel like a
12-year-old, yeah.
I'd pack that stuff tight.
I was never cooler than when I was like flicking that thing and putting it in my lip.
Yep, same here.
And then it would be like all shredded and
you had like pepper in your teeth all day.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was not good. Tasted delicious though. And then we go to the Heaven's Harvest Seed Kit.
Look at that cute little sticker on there.
Yeah, get it, boy.
Heavenly.
The Pro Box, we got the Ruck and River camping table. Ruck and Rubber.
I like Ruck and Rubber better.
Me too. Sounds awesome, doesn't it?
What kind of tires you got? Ruck and Rubber.
Ruck and Rubber, baby.
Ruck and River.
Ruck and River camp table.
That's cool.
Pretty
It's like it looks like one of those credit card multi-tools, but it's a table.
But it's a table.
Crazy.
And then Pro Plus, we got the Gens Anso Fox Italy 2.0 Desert Warrior.
Man, one thing about these Fox knives, they're like super lightweight.
Yeah.
They don't weigh nothing.
And they're nice.
Yeah, they are
Freaking nice. So get you on BattlBox, battlebox.com/KG That's all we got today, Cam.
Yeah. Good luck out there.
Good luck.
Government's watching over you.
Yeah.
It's been like watching everything you do and knows
Exactly.
everything about your town and where they can protect their officials.
So you guys, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Subscribe to our other podcasts. This podcast is a secret. We got a great episode coming out next week about Planet X.
That one's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Thank you so much and stay survived.